anniversary of the final extinction of my one true love, close as I can date it. I am drunk on battery acid and wearing my best party frock, sitting on a balcony beneath a pleasure palace afloat in the stratosphere of Venus. My feet dangle over a slippery slick rain gutter as I peek over the edge. 30 kilometres below my heels, the metal-snowed foothills of Maxwell Montes glow red hot. I'm thinking about jumping. I'll make a pretty corpse, I tell myself, until I melt. I don't contemplate suicide lightly. I'm old and cynical, and I have a design flaw in my character, which is this: I'm not eager to die. It's a common flaw that I have with my surviving sibs. There's a sacred trust among us, inherited from Maria, our template matriarch. Live through all your deaths, she resolved, with iron determination, and we honour her memory. Whenever one of us dies, we retrieve their soul chip and mail it around our shrinking circle. Reliving endings is painful but necessary. Dying regularly by proxy keeps you on your toes. It's a good way to learn to recognise when someone is trying to kill you. That last is a minor exaggeration. We're friendly and anxious to please, and few people want to murder us, except when they're depressed. But bear with me. We all find it increasingly hard to go on. We're old enough that critical anniversaries hold a fatal allure. For birthdays bring unpleasant memories. And if the best of all possible days have come and gone, why persist? It's a common failure mode for my lineage, and that is model. First we become nostalgic, then we admire ourselves in a fatal lack of purpose, and finally we start to obsess. Live through all your deaths, Rhea told us. Harsh irony then, that she, the original from whom we are all copies, was one of the first to inflict this burden upon us by committing suicide. And so, on my 139th birthday, near as I can count it, for I was born for the second and more definite time, 61 years after my existence was forever rendered purposeless by a cruel joke of fate, I spent my carefully hoarded savings so I can sit on the edge of a balcony outside a gaming hall thronged with joyful gamblers. The ground far below, a ruddy metallic counterpoint to the clouds boiling overhead. And I look down, contemplating eternal death, and try to convince myself that it's still a bad idea. It could be worse, I tell myself. I'm not 11 anymore. Choice I'm free to make. But then, there's a shiver of laughter through an open door, and a gust of chilly air from within, and the faint vibration of a shod foot on the balcony behind me, telling me I'm not alone anymore. It's kind of annoying. For most of the working year I've lived here in quiet isolation. Finally, when I want to be alone with my memories in the clouds, I have company. Ooh, look, it's a freak! Somebody squeaks behind and below me. What's that doing here? Uh-oh. Ignore them. You don't want to reinforce their behaviour. I tense, nevertheless. My fight-flight reflex is kicking in. They're nasty little bullies. I've been here before, as have my sibs, but we know how to handle this. It must be an arbiter. Is it shirking? I look round slowly, forcing my facial chromatophores to their palest creamy blankness so as to betray no emotion. I am not an indentured slave, I say, very deliberately, which is entirely true at this place and time. Another of the rules Rhea laid down: don't ever let one of your own sibs be left as an indentured slave. It's a rule we formed at an earlier age, and it's cost us dearly, but we stick to it. I'm a free woman. There are 3 of them between me and the balcony door. One Bishojo female about my size, and a matched pair of chibiform dwarves. They're members of the new aristocracy, caricatures of our dead creators, trussed up in the intricate finery favoured by aristo fashion this century. Standing while I sit before them, the dwarves are at eye level with me. They goggle with huge, limpid eyes, utterly empty of mercy. Their full-sized mistress looks down at me with a luminous predatory gaze and sneers. That can be fixed. Who let her in here anyway? I take her to be the leader because her gown seems to mostly consist of ruffles of wire held together by ribbons, and it's more intricate than the companions. She's got a delicate chin, sharp cheekbones, pointy ears. and a spectacular mane of feathery green filaments you'd expect of the new aristocracy. The dwarf female raises one lace-gloved hand to cover her mouth as she yawns melodramatically. It's spoiling the view, Domina. Domina, that can't be good. It's an overseer. Instincts hard learned from the experiences of my dead Sids tell me I'm in worse trouble than I expected. I'm having a flash over to another sister, murdered long ago under domed Lunograd. The reflex is right. I don't need the attention of vicious aristos bored with gambling and searching for stronger thrills. I was just leaving, I say quietly, and bring one foot up to floor level so I can stand up. Thank you, child, the Domina addresses her companion, but I've already noticed the obstruction. I'm using my foot to push back from the edge, and I put a hand down and lever myself up. I'm turning to face the glass doors as the Domina glances down at her male companion with a sniff of disapproval and says, Stone, take out the trash. Stone, a baby doll deaf in a black tunic with gold frogging, steps towards me, one hand going to a power mace at his belt. The top of his head is on a level with my hips. It'll be a pleasure, milady, he says. I'm going, I say, and my fight-flight module suddenly kicks me to feint sideways towards the glass doors, then duck and roll. I continue the roll as the mace slams against the lacquered aragonite inlay that decorates the edge of the balcony. Chips fly. Where the decorative underlay is exposed, the inlay begins to fizzle and fume. He roars and raises his mace again. I'm too close to the long drop for comfort, and my attacker is between me and the French door. What I should do is rush along the balcony, dive into the gaming salon through one of the other windows and make myself scarce. But I'm off balance, angry and humiliated by the casual brutality of the Domina's interruption, so I do something really stupid instead. One foot waving over the big empty, I grab for his arm with my free hand. Eee! He goes. I miss and grab his head by mistake. He responds by shoving me back towards the edge. His feet grip the balcony as if glued, but I'm twice his height and at least 5 times his mass. He raises the mace again. At this point I panic and brace my other hand on his shoulder and push with full force, trying to get as much distance between myself and the mace as possible. I forget to let go. Stone's head comes off in my hand. The body falls limply, clattering to the balcony. Pale fluid dribbles from the stump of his neck, sealing it off from further damage. The power mace buzzes and whirs menacingly. I give it a wide berth as I raise his head and turn it towards the Domina, glaring at her. You'll be sorry, says the head, using electrospeech in place of its missing larynx. He's right, the Domina agrees, smiling at me. She seems to be amused. Stone has a vindictive drive. You'll need to run a long way, mannequin, and hope he won't find you wherever you hide. Will he come after me if I drop him? I ask, holding my arm out over the edge of the balcony. I take a cautious step backwards along the slippery edge, probing for safe footing with my spiked left heel. You won't do that, the Domina says thoughtfully. He's very popular. He has more than 2,000 sibs and they'll all claim feud on you and yours. She laughs quietly. Wouldn't that be amusing? Her companion giggles, echoing her mistress. Go ahead and drop him, mannequin. Maybe I'll give you a head start. I turn Stone's head back and examine the back of his cranial stump. As I expected, there's a soul chip in place, recording Angel to his misdeeds. I make 2 fingernails extend and use them to dig it out of a socket. Then I hold it in front of his eyes. His lips are still moving. Watch this, I say. I flick the chip out of the wild and cloudy air beyond the edge of our floating world. Say goodbye to your backup, Stone. Even if he sticks a new chip in immediately, it'll take him a while to begin laying down memories again, and months for the older experiences to settle into the chip, such as this incident. Until then, he won't be able to pass on his experiences to his Sids. I lower his head to the floor carefully. If you come after me and I kill you again, you'll only have yourself to blame. I take another step back, and there's a glass door off to my right. I'll get you, mouths the head as I flee.